Okay. Hi, this is Sheila with Conscious Conversation Central, and today is Monday, November the 5th, 2018. And as you can see, BZ is sharing her screen with us. We're going to talk about the splendid vibrancy flowing into you, which is the title of this particular conversation. And I don't know that this is that the picture is moving like it was before because it's not on my screen.
Not.
There we go. How's that?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not on my screen.
Is it moving now?
Yes, that's better.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah?
Yes, it is moving now. Rather choppily, but it is moving now.
But it is moving.
Yeah. When you first showed me this, it was quite mesmerizing to me.
Yes.
Part of the reason I know that it is so mesmerizing is that it came to me that while this is not like any other multitorus I've ever seen a depiction of, this is very reminiscent of some of the experiences that I've had over the last 2 weeks in the integration of some other things. And knowing that I've also had a couple of experiences where I could actually feel the torus of my own particular energetic in the body. Mm-hmm. I just find this particular depiction that you found here very fascinating, BZ.
Yes, me too. It calls to mind your guided imagery thing we did. Now, when we were doing that, I had my eyes closed, so I wasn't participating in any visuals or anything. And I was trying to get visuals, and I really couldn't. But what I did pick up on, for me, was that motion. Like, there was a lot of movement. And I like how this is depicting, well, right now it seems to be not moving, but there's movement in many different ways and in many different levels, and that there were sort of swirling geometrics. That's what I could feel, were the swirling geometric. And I feel like that's what that depicts to me. Somehow it reminded me of your guided meditation.
Well, the other thing that visual does for me too is it displays quite clearly the actual feeling that I have a lot of times when I'm exploring my own energetic and feeling into that experience that I had where I'm integrating. And that particular depiction actually shows what for me represents the multidimensional and the multi-layered portion like you were talking about, Lisa, that we are. So I really like that depiction.
What's interesting is when it came in, the colors were even more vibrant than that depiction. And we could say that's a very simple and not very vibrant colors and very simple picture and flow of movement compared to what came in. And what it represents is, we've talked for a long time now about everything imploding into you. So you are a toroidal sphere of yourself. Okay? Just in this t-shirt, right?
Okay.
And then you have your higher self and selves, because whether you realize it or not, you got multiple higher selves. So, and then the quantum aspects of you, so they all have toroidal, right? And then you've got all of that, and your soul as well. So that's more of a quantum entanglement and multidimensional descriptors of the truth. A linear aspect would be to say that, you've got you, and then, your guides, and then you've got your higher self, and then you've got, your higher selves and your oversoul and your monad and your soul and blah, blah, blah. Okay, but that's very linear, and whether our brain cognizes it or not, well, actually it is cognizing, and that's part of the reason for the headaches and the confusion and the, whoa, my head hurts, not just because I have a quote-unquote headache, because, whoa, my head hurts, because you're trying to, that koan and all that kind of stuff. But that representation is a simplified, pale depiction of what is occurring right now, not going to occur, not sometime in the future occurring, but is occurring right this moment for everyone, for all. No one left out. And it's, if you think of a fountain, which usually goes like this, and a lot of times you can see there that nighttime they'll put colored lights on them, and then they're this beautiful fountain of these colors. Well, just think of it, the fountain as a reverse, so it's all pouring in, and all of those toroidals, so you can see all the colors and facets of one higher self, another higher self, all those in kind of a reverse centrifugal, so instead of a centrifuge that spins and spins and spins and separates stuff out, if this is reverse, it's actually blending into coherence all of those different toroidal fountains coming into one coherent resonance that is you, that is being birthed, that is the new creation, because you've got the shirt and then you've got the imploding, and that's all coming together. And it's so a vortex, we commonly think of it as, it's like this field, or kind of a channeling of something that holds something that's an expression that's coming forth. So it's almost like that's a reverse, because all the expression is coming into you.
Yeah, the imploding into this, what will become a third, a new creature.
Yes, a new true you would be a good simplified way to, and it's not going to
a whole you.
Yeah, it's happening. And so anything that is not of a resonant or frequency match that will be centrifuged off. And
well, yeah, you had actually sent us or shared with us in a I'm going to see if I can pull this up because I liked what it was. Maybe I could share that on my screen. Because what I saw in this one, well, here we go. Here it is. This one. I see your tube of toothpaste in this in some degrees because it's flowing outward.
Yep.
Yeah.
But that's there was some other reason that I felt compelled to show that too. because it is never ending. It doesn't really matter. You're just making room for more to come in for the imploding portions. But I know why I wanted to show that, because that's a centrifugal force that is flowing out. So that is like a tube of toothpaste thing, as other is imploding in.
Filling in at the same time.
Right.
And you can look at it on a more...
Well, hence the multitorus.
Yes. And you can look at it it's a recycling of energy, isn't it? So the stuff that's the lower, denser vibration is actually flung off, or as you said, a centrifugal force off, right? And in that flow of it going off and coming back around, it's just reconfiguring its energetic components and then flowing back in as well as new creational node points. So the toroidals aren't just, it's not just like, you're picking up the buckets of all the...
Oh yeah, because you don't lose anything.
Right. The glass is a non-depletion glass. It doesn't get emptied. because and the other thing is,
well, I'm gonna see. That's what.
Yeah.
Right, because it just comes right back around in, for one thing.
Right.
Because we are energy. We cannot be. It's energy cannot be created or destroyed. It just moves in and out of form. And so as that energetic that is no longer supported, no longer required, no longer needed, flings off, it moves out of that incorrect or perhaps bastardized or whatever we might want to call it form that we no longer have any use for, is no longer supported, and then comes back around to be utilized in some other way, is what you meant by the creation node points, correct?
Yes. And so let me try to go linear for a minute. So if you're thinking of this thing that's so the toroidal, multitoroidal implosion is coming in, and the stuff fountaining out is the debris. So the frustration, the fear, the hate, the worry, the doubt, the judgment, the jealousy, the comparing. All right. Okay. So that shit's just flying out all over the place, but it's all made of energy. Okay. So all you could say, all the light, happy, healthy, expansive energy is pouring in, all the dense dross, yucko energy is flying out. And from a limited linear perspective, yeah, absolutely. So the glory's coming in and the gook's going out. It's all energy. And as the gook goes out, it is transformed, it is reconfigured into pure potentiality and energy, which in part comes in, right away to sustain, but also is there just in, you could say, in the more in
refined form.
Well, I was going to say more in the void space form of your multitoroidal things.
Potentiality.
That's right. Even more void than the potentiality. It's not even potentiality yet. It's no thingness.
Okay.
Let's say. And when you then want to grab it as it comes by, because there's creation, that's one of the ways you would use the node point. The other thing too is that's because you're eternal and unlimited. So now the new stuff that's pouring in, right, and all of you is expanding. So all of you is raising, rarefying, lightening, different linear words that aren't quite correct, but it's best we got, your energy field, right? Then, so the new stuff that's getting centrifuged off before was the great good stuff, but you have expanded beyond that, so now you're throwing that up. So it's continual. And it's not held in a way,
Yes.
it's all of love. So it is the totality of all in all its glory and deliciousness without a linear slotting and segmenting distortional view of good or bad or, you know, this, that, or the other thing.
Right.
Because it's all creational force.
Well, I guess I was, yeah, out in that. Well, yeah, because it gets, I guess when I was saying refined, it is out in that void where it gets refined back into pure potentiality.
Yes.
And becomes then creational force.
Right. And those node points come in, so you're the expert, period, full stop, end of sentence. And you can then as you're creating, you could have some that are pools of color. Let's say if you're so let's say you can have watercolors, for example, because they're very fluid and flowing, and so even if you're not painting, you may have kind of get an idea of what watercolor is. So you add water to it, and the pigment changes in color. Okay, so watercolors, the paints can come in a tube where you squeeze them out, and then you add water to them. They can actually come in like a little square where they're more concentrated, refined pigments, so more potentiality, and not used right away because they really aren't watercolor per se yet, right? They are that no-thingness that is the more direct potentiality of watercolor. Does that make sense? And so in this whole process,
yeah.
And it changes moment by moment, expands moment by moment, you can then reach out and grab those different node points of creation and and take them in various states of potentiality in that moment, because you want to play with, using watercolors. You've got your brush, and you actually want the watercolor that's already in your palette that has some of the pigment in it and the water mixed, and it's the right thing. And so you want to play, and then you may want to have, just like if you're painting, you have a palette with several different colors, and you've got a mixing palette, so you don't muddy these over here, and you play with that. So this is what's happening right this moment. It is already occurring. And for many, it presents as chaos. And if you've ever kind of dived into a conversation about what really is chaos, it's creation and potentiality and all of that flowing to its new coordinates, to its new compositions, right? To its new co-creative aspects that it flows to. So because chaos can be uncomfortable, mostly because it's the unknown, and the human linear ego mind has the propensity to say, well, better the devil that I know than the unknown, kind of a thing. And of course, right here, they're going to realize that it's the devil they've known. Literally, specifically. And there's nothing figurative about it.
Well, yeah, what I've come to know for myself in regards to that is that there's, I'll just speak for myself, was operating under a misguided idea that the devil I knew was something I could perhaps try to control. But guess what? That didn't work out so good.
No, huh?
No. So, but anyway.
But that's all of what is coming in. Because it's that holding. Because we're vast, we're marvelous, we're complex, we're rich, we're nuanced. And those are all very, 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 very pale words to describe what we are. But it starts to get you kind of in the,
No, that's true.
a close by multiverse.
In the ballpark.
Yeah.
In the neighborhood of maybe on the idea of being in the right area.
Yeah, the pale gist of what's going on, yeah. And this is important because it's gobsmackingly, deliciously fantastic. But aside from that, it's important because it's your reality now. And it's not going away. And it's not going to be something that a few, wacky chickettes talk about here and there, or, it's everywhere, and it's all pervasive, and it's unmistakable, unavoidable. It's your life now. That would be a very simple, linear way to put it. And it's part of, from a linear aspect, you could say it's part of growing up. It's part of expanding up. It's part of waking up. It's part of, claiming and owning and trusting and knowing the truth of who you are. It's also part of, this is funny, but giant galactic window washer teams coming and clearing the vision, clearing the smudges, the distortional smudges on all of us. We're the whole team, but it seems like, because we're super polishing up and sparkling the clarity that's coming through. It's crystal clear. Christos, crystalline clarity is being washed from within and without all of us, and that's what's unfolding. I don't know if you've ever seen those, I think they've been around maybe 8 years, maybe not quite that long, but they're, you used to have a big picture window, and then you had like a French door, and then you had sliders or a bigger window. And now I think they started to go pretty much all out on the markets about 8 years ago, and they're big expanses of glass. And there's no seams, there's no moldings, there's no casings, there's no perceivedness of a door. It's just a wall of glass, and it can be 30, 40, 50, 100 feet or more across. And it could be, you could have vault ceilings, so it could be 25, 30 feet high, depending on the, the structure. It can be smaller, but they can be quite large. And what they are is they're accordion doors. So you open them and they will pull back. They're not pockets, so they don't slide per se in. They can, depending on, but they can also just accordion back. And they're purely unobstructed for your view of glass. And so, maybe Google one and look it up from you can find them any kind of construction place. But that would be a good metaphoric example to see what we're doing and we're unveiling. So the delineation between, one of the reasons I use that as a metaphor is the delineation between something that we would judge one way or another, or the good or the bad side, or the dark or the light, or instead it's being revealed for that it's all energy, and that it's crystal clear. Christos, light, is just penetrating and permeating and infusing everything in our perspective, in our view, from our true seeing. And it's actually a marvelous way to re-describe the event horizon that I talked about in the first quantum shower that I gave voice to on recording, is where the visibility is unlimited, and so we can do a pan through the galaxies and the multiverses. We can pan in all sorts of dimensions and embodiment, non-embodiment, not even structurized vibrationalness, but no-thingness. And then as our point of focus, point of attention, crystallizes, our focus crystallizes on something and becomes crystal clear. Again, that Christos it's a node point. It's like, think of going, the sound that your phone makes, and if you looked at a crystal light ray, that burst that you might get out of a camera flash or something like that, and as you focus on that, you hear the ring that your phone makes, and that point of focus light takes you right in there. Laser, it's actually, but it's not, that's not correct. It crystallizes that node point for you, and then you either can see it or just encounter it, or you can actually dive into it. Does that make sense? So
yes.
On your pan, you might go, oh, what's that? I see something that looks like, I don't know, it doesn't, not quite a planet, maybe a star, maybe it's a nova or something, but I see, it's mostly green and orange, but it has a lot of like vaporous, smoky swirls to it. And in that moment, you bring yourself to it, and you can just view it. You could, kind of come around and see it, or you can go up there. I mean, that's what we are right this moment, because all of us is coming into us, and we are the at that node point, creation point, right? Where the old, human in the t-shirt is evolving, expanding, birthing into that new third Trinity divine spark.
Right. Well, I mean, as the holing, as the imploding happens, that's where, well, for me, my experiences have, that I've shared some of and will be sharing more of. I think that's a direct experience of that implosion. So it's, I guess I'm give to say this because specifically, it's not always all fluffy bunnies in integration, because even though we are talking about creation and we are multi-dimensional, we are all, and all means all, and all also encompasses what we've got going on this planet right now. And that is, things that in our little 3D judgment, because as I was having this experience, I even judged it as this destruction, this, I think I used words like horrific and terrifying and all of these sorts of kinds of words. But I also used words like beautiful and the magnificent beauty of all of that. So it's just that there's, as I feel, it's been my experience so far, that as I am pulling these other aspects of myself into this vessel for integration, there will be all sorts of experiences. I now know that I can expect all sorts of experiences. Will it happen for everyone? I don't know. I got no clue about everyone else. I only can say what has happened for me. I suspect that the more intently one is focused on this particular process and one's place in it or whatever, I suspect that the more attention is given and the more noticing that is done, the more experiential, the more, I'm clear. For myself, obviously, I set that up in that manner for a lot of different ways. Part of it is because of this, I'm certain. The whole idea of this being part of my mission.
Right.
But I am convinced that I'm not the only one. I think everyone who is, intently focused will have some sort of experiences. And they may not all be pleasant. Some of them will, I'm certain, but it's also in how one approaches it too, because like I said, in integrating all of that too, I was kind of just noticing my language as I was languaging what I was seeing, feeling, sensing, and all of that, and just noticing how I was holding it. And I held it in two different ways, and yet was still able to make sense of it all, if that makes any sense. I mean, I think each one of us will, as these things occur. And I guess actually this begs a question, because I heard this before and it wouldn't go away. So I'm just going to throw this out there to both of you. Like I said, I'm convinced that part of the reason that I'm experiencing this is I want to. I'm noticing more. I'm paying closer attention. I'm focusing on the holding, the integration of all aspects of myself. So it's something I'm moving towards.
Right.
And we've all had folks in and around our fields that are just, we think, on one level, completely clueless as to what's going on the planet, right? Period, end of story. And yet, because I've seen evidence of folks that you know, they wouldn't language it in this particular way, but they are experiencing things and they're not uncomfortable, but they don't really grok it maybe in the same way I do. And so not, I don't know that there was like a question that came up that will those who are asleep ever really comprehend what's going on? And I don't know that it even matters, but it is a question and that came up. I don't know whether it's just within me. I don't think it actually matters, but
Well,
it's a curiosity.
Yeah,
one of the ways I would begin to play with that is to go back to when your perspective is that you're just the being in the shirt, and it's a linear perspective.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have,
and there's lots of folks out there with that perspective,
right?
So yeah, that's
right. And so you view things, you know, a certain way, but it could be, you know, like this spread of this certain way, right? Let's say, just as an example. And as you get more expansion, you step back, you have bi-locational consciousness, so you can go, oh, okay. And as you expand further, you have multi-locational consciousness. So if one of the locations on that shoot of consciousness, you know, it's linear and you're going, that was a badass dude and dudette and they did bad shit to those people, from that perspective and that locational shot that you've got, you're absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. So in that movie, on that shot, you know, the panorama of that, yes. What we're talking about, and what you just, this speaks to what you just asked about, is that, you know, is to remember you're not small and you're not just the t-shirt here. And you're not missing anything. So you don't need to get more location shots, you know, like get on another plane and go to this place or that place, right? You've already got them.
right.
It's allowing them to come forth or to reveal themselves. And we've talked about that a lot, because whereas someone, again, from a linear perspective, this person is just not cluing in, just not awake per se. From a broader perspective, they actually are diving into the mastery of that linearness. And, you know, as Lisa had said before, we're going for the experience of it, and, you know, getting the gold ring of that experience, all that experience, you know, not only just it was a 24-hour period with breakfast, lunch, and dinner, a walk and a ride, and, you know, a kind of a scary slide down a ski slope on a snow tube at night, kind of a thing. But they were, you know, they participated in growing the food for the breakfast, you know what I mean? So they dove into every aspect of it. And again, still from a linear thing, they picked the fruit and made the jam and ground the wheat and baked the bread. You know what I'm saying? So from one perspective, you could say, well, geez, are they ever going to wake up? And from the other perspective, these people are diving in and doing it because that was their choice to do that. If you just speak to the shirt in in this day venue that we have here, they might go, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Man, I'm just hanging, kind of a thing. And that's part of that role. That's part of that part that they're playing, so to say, in the overall thing. Because think of the gift for you that being is giving, because that's giving off integration signals for you. Why don't they get with the program? Can't they see? Right? So, and that's how we kind of play. There's that byplay and that interplay with all of us. So just to go back to the big glass doors, I think you call them,
Yeah.
Right this moment, all of this is becoming visible. Do we all use different languaging to describe it? Absolutely. Because the supposed language is woefully inaccurate. So it might be helpful if we had a whole myriad, like 6.5 billion ways to describe it, because we're not even getting it right with that, So yeah, people are going to have it, but the energy of the grokking of it, the nuance in the energetics of that, and the similar flows and carrier waves of that are actually very noticeable. And if you can remove this frontal linear, kind of chewing at the details or slotting, and remove that and just take it in, just notice, you can see, okay, this one says it's this one says it's that, this one says, but wait a minute, there's a commonality and a similarity in the range of what they're flowing and flowing in.
There's nothing wasted. Every morsel is being savored.
Right.
So I'm really enjoying tuning in with that part of me that is savoring everything, because it's just making the experience way more lovely.
Yes.
Because really I could choose any perspective and I could roll with it. So I'm choosing the one that feels the most delicious.
Yeah, and you brought up a good point, something that we were talking about off camera, which I won't bring the discussion in here, but just to touch on it, is that when you're choosing those perspectives, you can go into like a glass blower blowing a bubble of glass and then another bubble inside of it. So you can push your expansion bubble into a pocket of perceived more linear, more dense thing from an experiential expansion way. You pop into that, you check it out, it's real, you can feel the kind of the storyline that's going on there, right? So if it's black and white and there's dramatic music, whatever, so you can feel all of that, but you're in that scene, but not of it. Because you are directing, dictating, scripting, choreographing, creating how you're flowing through your consciousness and consciousness with, not only of, but with what you're experiencing. So sometimes you may slip in and blow that bubble and go, whoop, oh, wait a minute, I'm in this bubble, hey, come back out. And sometimes you go, well, I want to, or it's part of maybe a bigger part of my mission, so I'm going to blow this bubble in here, go in there, see that, gain, help where I'm meant to help, right? Gain expansion from that for me and my my sovereign beingness, my singularity of me, and be with the unity of my service to others all at the same time. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hmm.
But we're all we're all this is occurring for all right this moment. And yes, you may have lots of different ways to describe it. And, you know, you could start, if you're standing next to me, you could start at 6 o'clock in the morning until 11 o'clock at night, and I may describe things to you with different kind of languaging, different kind of perspectives. If I was either in a particular moment or describing back to a particular moment, maybe one that happened a couple hours ago or just happened, whatever. And I can language it from different ways because I can, as in I'm capable of, and I do, hold it, perceive it, walk and flow with it in a multi-locational consciousness way. So for someone who just asked, so are there moments when I'm at work and I can look at it and go, I'm still at work? You know, and today that's not the best thing in the world, or this moment that, yeah. And I can also see that I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. And I can also see how I'm being service to others. And I can also see how I'm absolutely taking care of myself and my expansion and my consciousness. And I can see that I'm doing all of those things simultaneously. And I can have very specific perspectives, which then give me languaging on that perspective and a characterization of that perspective and a description or descriptors of that, if I was painting you a word picture or something like that, of those different perspectives. And if you pick the different ones up, you might go, oh, well, this hour of this day really sucks. And for the same one, you might pick up and go, oh, well, this hour, same hour, same day, this hour of this day is interesting. That's really interesting. And, you know, you can do that. And then if you picked up, you know, like these, I guess they're cards or something, you picked up this card that is a I don't know how to say that, a totality of an observational, you know, an observer. So at my more expanded source point or soul point looking in, observer, and picked up that card. I mean, the blooming of the heart and the joyous smile as it, you know, because this card that I'm talking about now has all of the other cards on it. It's just delicious. So that card there actually is the vibrational frequency of love. That's the love card. You know, in a simplified way, although very accurate way to describe it, because it's the totality of pure potentiality.
Hmm. So now, when you just said that, you're saying that love is the totality of pure potentiality. Is that what you just said?
Mm-hmm.
I like that. And it makes sense. I don't know why, it just does.
Well, that's a linear
Well,
wording for something that's vibrational frequency. But yeah, for linear wording, it's not too bad.
it'll work.
Not
Wow.
quite, all encompassingly accurate, but
Well, no, but I feeling into it, it feels right.
yeah. But that's where you're meeting the vibrational frequency of it, not the linear blah blah this of it.
Well,
Right.
It just words
well,
are
I don't think I mean anything in that.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's getting more, actually. The linear is not as easy as it used to be.
It's harder and harder to define things, I'm finding.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, see, now you can see when we started
Yeah.
playing, over a year ago, why I would say, oh, that's really hard to do that. And you go, what?
Well, yes, I've noticed just a couple of things like that. There's a lot of things that I've noticed, like the shorthand. There's also a bit of shorthand that I can now pick up too. What felt like shorthand to me before,
Yeah.
doesn't now. I mean, it's just like I get it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things. So that what you're describing there is a really good example. Although, if you're not there or kind of playing around the edges of there, could seem vague, although it's clear as could be. One perspective, on many
Can you
perspectives.
repeat that?
What I was saying
that?
Huh?
Can you repeat that? Because you kind of broke up there.
Yeah. What I was saying is that what were just describing there is a good example of what this whole conversation is talking about. So if people were, or you yourself, were to look at you in the first couple of videos that we did starting over a year ago, and the way you were languaging things, the way that you were perceiving things, the questions you would ask, the things that you would truly grok or just kind of maybe skirt and look askance at, sort of a thing. That was from a linear perspective and consciousness. And the path that you traveled, and there's no mistake that it's all on camera, is the, kind of an apprentice glass blower. I think this keeps coming up because it's the breath of creation goes into the glass, and the molten potentiality of the different components, which are seemingly disparate from what they fashion. So the sand and all of that comes into glass, right? Which has the colors, which has the facets, which catches the light. So it does all of it. It's creation. It's a good representation of all of that. So you were just a whiff of a glass apprentice dancing around the edges of the apprentice shop, not quite even wanting to go in when you first, and I'm talking about the on-camera part. There was more before that, but we didn't have all of it on camera, so just the on-camera part. And then going more and more into the glass place and learning how to do the mixing and learning how to do the gathers of the glass and all those kinds of things. And so now you're having it where by your own definition, perhaps not fully residing in and all the time having multi-locational consciousness on all the different pieces of glass that you're creating or that you're sketching out, and then, you know, the ideas that are coming to fruition and you're turning into glass, right? From no thingness
Right.
to potentiality to that amorphous kind of globule of glass, which you then give the breath of creation into. You've traveled for all and put on camera for all to see that. It's an illustration of what each being has been going through in toto of all as we go through these moments of energetic change. Right? And lots of other beings have been doing that in lots of different ways. This is the one right here. And that's why I say at this moment, we are all master glass blowers in training. And we are the apprentice and mastering and the master all at the same time. And
yeah,
you know, we are creating all of this. So those three perspectives, three levels, however you want to hold it, I guess in linear placeholders right this moment, each one comes with a whole set of chores and things and creative points and complexity and comfort and confidence in all of that, right? And the amalgamation of all of that, the realization and the blending and the holding and the integrating of all of those aspects of the apprentice and the master in training and the master that is moving forward and doing in relationship with all of those is what we're all doing right now, because as all of those parts come in, we are creating something totally new. And that totally new begets, new intersects with, comes into resonance and coherence with new creation node points, which we ignite into the stuff that is touchable, tangible, you know, reality experienced. And that can be, you know, on a more inform 5-dimensional level. It could be more in a more amorphous etheric, you know, 6.5, 7, 8-dimensional level, you know, and go. There is no limit. And whatever perceived I'm not sure how to say this, whatever, so as a linear place, or so whatever perceived limits of number of dimensions and those pockets within those are expanding, and I'll just leave it at that, expanding for all, capital A, capital L, in all. So it's just not the little shirts on the little old blue planet here that's doing this. Just saying.
no, that's been made clear. It's all of creation, like you said, the big ALL.
Yeah, and it's happening now. Not gonna happen. Happening now. And it is now speeding up. So we may be...
Yeah, you know, the last time you told me that, it was a very, 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 very perceptible speed up.
Yeah. Well,
And
I haven't finished what I was going to say. So, and
I know, I'm scared. I'm already scared.
So it is speeding up, and at this moment, one might characterize it as going Mach 5. And this
One would.
one might characterize it right, and so on and so on and so on. Yeah.
That's what I was afraid of. Yes, afraid and not afraid, I guess I should say. I'm not afraid of it.
Right.
But I'm afraid.
Well, and that goes back to your question that you had come up about the not noticing it or privy to it, those kinds of things. No one's left out. No one's missing anything. They're not disconnected. There has been so much communication back and forth. Does the conscious aspect of the linear mind up front choose to recall and pull any of that forward? Could be not, depends. But it's on for all, and since consciousness is, you could say, depending on the way you would characterize it and lay it out. On the one hand, you could say consciousness is becoming conscious. As that unfolds, the propensity to be unconscious is dematerializing. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of leads one to the conclusion that that eventually all will be conscious.
Yes, and the eventually is in a nanosnap.
Okay. Talk about cognitive dissonance.
Yeah. That's why we're looking at everything we're looking at. That's why we can even see it.
Yeah.
The big wrap up is underway.
Yeah, wrap
I know,
up,
and that
wrap
so
up or rip off or
well,
or reveal
and it just, the metaphors just keep
the
coming.
curtain call.
Yeah. Because well, like you were saying, Lisa, about that's why we're looking at all of this, and being that it's Venus retrograde and Uranus retrograde and all of that. It just, I don't know, the metaphors are just everywhere. Just everywhere.
Yes, and they are sublimely delicious metaphors and not metaphorical at all. And
no, exactly.
And purely in absolute toto metaphor. And all of those are so.
Yes.
Okay, that was a head herder.
Well, I'm in agreement. I just say yes. Well, because I've been experiencing it. I mean, because at some point one has to just give up and see that it's just so delicious. All the metaphor that I see, it's just everywhere, and it all points to messages from me to me, and it's all about all of this, all of it, every snapping bit of it, all the stuff that's going on out there.
Yeah, and
It's
it's
just all
exquisitely
it's
beautiful. All of it is exquisitely
yes,
beautiful. No matter how it can be characterized from any perspective, it's exquisitely beautiful creation.
yes,
And again, you depending on one's perspective and the way, a level of expansion and how they hold it, they would use vastly different words of vastly different energetic frequency characteristics to describe that which I speak of. Yet it would not change that description at all of it being exquisite in what it is.
yep, yep. No matter what words you use, even, well, like I said, some of the most, in my own words, horrific experiences I've had of late were also achingly beautiful, hauntingly beautiful.
Yeah.
So, and they can be both at once.
Yes.
Yeah.
They can not be if you are holding on to the propensity to have a perspective of being small to the exclusion of all else. And that's just so that's full stop on that. And that the true character and nature of the distortion of small is glaringly evident right now in these moments for all to see, to feel, to experience, to notice, to see it swirling and encompassing them from the in, from the out, from all. And then to choose the
yes.
path.
Well, yeah. Well, we've done such a hot job at convincing ourselves that, that this is all there is. This little brief interlude in the shirt, to use your vernacular there, BZ, is all there is. And when folks really buy into that big, hot, stinking tub of malarkey, then of course that doesn't leave a very expansive place to view any of these things from. But once one truly groks and takes in the absolute fact that we are all one, which also means that we are also eternal, always just, energy moving in and out of form, then seeing how something could be horrific and beautiful all at the same time, because being able to step back and see it from that more expanded view, it's just for me it was a very big deal. That's all I can say.
Yeah, and so go play with do you lead as love or follow as fear? And that helps you, you know, to look at it, because we're here right now, and it's not going away, and it's becoming incredibly evident, even for the most ardent supporters of I'm small and I'm tiny in the shirt, kind of a thing. So, you know, the all is embracing you and wrapping you in the most amazing flows of love to say, no, you're brilliant, you're magnificent, you're unlimited and divine and sublime, and come play.
And it's a hell of a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Just saying. Can I just say, I haven't said it lately. Right? At the risk of repeating myself. So do either one of you have anything else that you'd like to add to this energetic envelope, ladies?
Not this one.
Just join us.
Yeah.
Just join us. Yeah.
Come play. The water's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, please do. Co-creating is fun.
Yes.
It is. It's very fun.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if neither one of you have anything else to add.
That's all for now.
Well, we'll have all the usual things in all the usual places. And I don't know. Hold on one second. There was something I wanted to, let's see. So I'm actually interested to hear from folks who are beginning to feel into themselves, and I can actually feel the torus motion as things are happening. I guess I don't know how.
Whirling through you.
Yeah, you know, it's so. Yeah, I can feel the energetic that comes through my physical vessel as the multitorus, and so I'm interested to know if anyone else is having any of these kinds of sensations, any comments or questions you might have about any of what you've heard here tonight.
And
love for you to
share
reach out to anyone.
Delicious was the moment you allowed yourself to first do that, because you're feeling it, and it's just whether or not you're allowing yourself to give voice to it.
Yeah, that's a very real thing too, because if you, well, and then, you know, there's just lots of different programs that start trying to take over. That goes right back into the whole fear thing. So awesome.
See previous video.
Okay, well, say what?
See previous video.
Oh, see previous video. Yeah. See previous video. Well, all 445 of them. Well, actually, as of this one, ladies, we will be up to 447, I believe. Yeah. Or I should say I will be, because not you guys haven't appeared in all of them, but I don't even know if
lots of videos.
A lot of videos. All right. Well, thank you both so much.
Thank you.
I really enjoyed this one. Till next time.
Much love.